Test. Okay, so welcome to another video. So I decided to make this video as a simple guide of how to climb up from below 800 MMR. So just a quick brief history. So I started as a new player just about 1 to 2 weeks ago. I bought my 3 Axies. Then, but it was a bit unbalanced. I wanted to buy 3 Aquas purely for breeding purposes and also to just hope to stay above 800 MMR in arena. But the unfortunate truth was that I found that I've been losing games since I started the new account, my new account. So I started from 1200 MMR and I steadily lost games and games and games until the lowest point I reached was about 400 plus MMR. So I was stuck in below 800 MMR for the last 3 days. So this is just a simple guide of how I got out of that rut, right? To get above 800 MMR at least. So first and foremost is if you do not be, my first tip is do not be afraid to sell and to buy new Axies. So I'm just going to show my transaction history here. So this is my personal page, right? You can see that I started in November 16, so that was 10 days ago, so about 2 weeks. So I've been in this game for 2 weeks. You can see that initially I bought 3 Axies for this amount of ETH. And then shortly after I find that I was actually losing games. Then you can see that I actually wanted to sell Axies, right? I started to start auctions to try and sell them off because I wanted to buy replacement Axies in order to strengthen the team, because I find that just having 3 pure Aquas couldn't cut it, right? I was losing games. And then you can see that, yeah, I attempted to buy more Axies here. And obviously I made mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The thing is, even though we when you might feel very committed to the first 3 Axies that you buy, right? Like you find that, oh, I don't have money to buy new Axies. So definitely how you can get the funds back is to sell your, maybe you just want to swap out 1 member of your team, or even swap out 2 of your 3 Axie team. So you just sell 1 or 2 of your Axie and keep 1 of them. And then from the funds that you get from selling those 2, buy another 2 new Axies. So sometimes you will wonder whether you will lose money and ETH while selling. That may be partially true, because when you sell an Axie, you have to pay a 4% commission. So for example, if I bought an Axie here for 0.054 ETH, if I were to list it back in the marketplace for 0.054 ETH, I'll be losing about 4 to 5% commission if it's successfully sold, for example, for just creating that trade in the marketplace, right? So basically, Sky Mavis, which is the creators of Axie Infinity, they draw that 4 something percent, close to 5% as a commission for them to earn. That's how they actually earn in the game. They actually claw back the crypto that's actually issued. Actually, they didn't claw back the crypto. They earn the Ethereum that's been when people trade through their marketplace, when people buy and sell. So they earn 5% commission every time people trade, and that's how Sky Mavis actually makes money. Okay, and so basically, when sometimes depending on when you buy the Axie and when you sell, you can actually make a profit depending on how smart you are at the marketplace. So this first tip is just regarding the trading portion. So I'm going to show you my records. Just a moment. So it loads up. Okay, so I have a Google spreadsheet here. So these are records of the Axies that I bought and the price that I sold them for. So you can see that initially these are my first 3 Axies that I bought here, right? 0.049, 0.04, and 0.054. And I've sold one of them, the one in the middle, for close to what I bought for, 0.045. So it is close to break even. Maybe I lost a little bit. And subsequently, I used the funds that I got back from the sale to buy another Axie at 0.038. Then I realized that the Axie wasn't the right fit. Like I tried buying a plant, but it wasn't gaining enough energy. So it didn't give me enough energy to play the cards I want in the arena. I was still losing games. So I managed to do a search on the market, and I find that the Axies of the similar stats and the move set that it had, right, was selling at slightly higher Ethereum than when I bought it. So I was able to list it at 0.042, and within been about 3 days or something along that line, 3 days or 4 days, or maybe close to 5 days, it actually sold. So I managed to sell at 0.042 and I actually made a profit from selling it. So it's like flipping the Axie. So subsequently from that, okay, this one is I actually took in new funds. So I actually injected new funds in to try and buy more Axies because I wanted to buy AXS to breed as well. So I needed new funds. So when I put in new funds, I went to buy more Axies, and also I managed to sell another of this Axie. And this was one of the terminators that I bought. So maybe you can look at the activity log. Not really terminator. It was a bird with a terror chomp. That the start sale. I think it was this one, right? Yeah, it was this one. So before that, I bought a Terror Chomp Axie with a numbing liquidation, which is gravel ant. The body part is gravel ant, which basically was a anti-terminator build, right? Because gravel ant will actually disable melee targets, and terminator builds with things like a chomp, their vicious goo. That means all their stun move skills, as well as their I think their slow skill, and that there was one of the spells that hit for 130% damage when the opponent actually has a debuff. All those are melee cards. So when you use Gravel End on it, the Terminator actually couldn't play any of its moves at all. So this was an anti-Terminator. So I bought that, but unfortunately I find that after buying it, it didn't really fit my team because as you can see, there's no energy generation and its damage was not a lot. The only high damage card was actually Terror Chomp, which is just middle of the road, about 100 damage. And then Barb Strike at 90 damage is not really considered high damage as well. Then even though Gravel End tends to disable melee targets, it still didn't give me enough damage. So I was still losing games and I still didn't solve the problem of getting enough energy. So I wanted to sell this Axie, and I actually, if you look at the price where I bought it from, I bought it for 0.048 in ETH, and then when I sold it, I think it was actually in the records, right? If I go and I think it was back here. Yep. So I bought this. You can see the number here, 9093. I bought it for 0.048 ETH. And then for 9093, I listed it out at 0.061 ETH. And I actually sold it for 0.063 somehow. Because in my records, when I received the email which confirms the sale, I actually managed to sell it at 0.063. So I actually made a profit on buying and selling the Axie. Then with that profit that I gained, so with that ETH that I get back 0.063, I think maybe minus commissions to Sky Mavis, I got back 0.061, maybe something around there. And I used it to buy another Axie, right? So this time the Axie that I bought was the right one. So with the ETH that I sold here, I actually bought another plant and I bought another beast. And finally, with that beast that I bought, I actually managed to climb out above 800 MMR. So I managed to get the right team. Okay, so that is just part one of the guide, right? So part one of the path to climbing out of your to below 800 MMR is to don't be afraid to trade your Axies, right? If you find that you don't have the right team and you realize that you need something else, so be prepared to sell your current Axies, sell them, and use the ETH that you gain back from the sale to buy new Axies to try and strengthen your team. Okay, so next part two. So this is part two of the guide, which is maybe I can show my screen, is to build a team that is easy to execute, that has some key features that you want, right? So what I mean by easy to execute, so the most easiest to execute team would be something like this. So this is the one which is right now giving me about close 87% to almost 87% win rate in arena, where I managed to below 800 MMR. I was this past 2 days I was getting close to, like, with this team I was about 85 to 87, close to 90% win rate with this team. So this is a very standard plant, beast, and aqua team. So you probably still work with a plant, beast, and bird team. The plant, beast, bird, the PBB team, plant, beast, bird, or in this case mine is the PBA team, which is plant, beast, and aqua. So this is a very standard team. You will see that a lot of them on the arena because it's very balanced, very well rounded, and also most important is actually it's easy to execute. Like you don't need to think very hard. You don't need to do very complex plays. You just need to follow the fundamentals as long as you can read your opponent well, calculate energy well, and then you will win. Okay, so for this so you might want to if you're struggling on what Axies to buy, right? So the plant beast aqua or the plant beast bird might be the build that you want to go for. So you need to get some very key characteristics of this certain Axies correct. Because if you don't get the certain characteristics of the Axies, the ones you buy might not be that good in the arena anyway. So the first one is for your plant, make sure that your plant has some kind of tanking ability, right? So what I mean by tanking is that it has at least one single card that has a high shield ability. So because the main purpose of having the plant is actually to tolerate and tank the attacks from the enemy backline. So most of their backline, that means the last Axie here, will probably be an aqua or a bird. So the backline is typically the one that deals the highest amount of damage. So the aqua will have most. So my aqua is not the highest damage one, as you can see. It's a double anemone aqua, so it's more of a heal sustain aqua. But other aquas will have almost 4 pure damage cards, and especially birds. Birds are glass cannons. They do a lot of damage. So because if you are referring to one of the I have a chart here, so you can find this chart online. So you can refer to this chart here. You will find that birds, right? So aquas and birds actually have a 15% disadvantage against plants. So typically, so that means if a damage skill does 100 damage against normally, right, against another aqua or bird, as in if a 100 damage move from an aqua on a bird, okay, maybe I'm not explaining this right. So for example, if a move typically does 100, yeah, I have one here, right? So if a move does 100 damage on this aqua, if it's versus the plant, it only does 75. No, sorry, it does 85 damage because there's 15% less damage being done on the plant. So not only is your plant tanky because of its high hit points and its shields, it is also more tanky against birds and aquas because of its hereditary resistance. So it's a resistance against them. Okay, so this is why you want the plant as your tank. So you want at least one shield card, and you need cards that give you energy. So for the plant beast bird combo or plant beast aqua combo to work, typically you need a lot of energy to play the high damage cards from your beast for the combo cards, which needs energy to play, as well as for the damage cards from your aqua, which also needs energy to play. So the role of your plant tank is actually to absorb the hits, and while it's absorbing the hits, it needs to gain energy. So then you can save the energy for the later rounds for your beast and your aqua to deal the damage to the enemy team members. So you can see here what I have lined up is a carrot hammer. So a carrot hammer will gain 1 energy if the Axie shield breaks, right? So it's meant to both have a little bit of shield. 40 shield is not a lot, but once it breaks, gains energy. So for fews are gaining energy. Then it has this Series, which is Vegeta Bite, which steals 1 energy from your opponent when combo with another card. That means it's so like self-explanatory, right? It's try to steal energy from an enemy. And I have another skill here, which this is a bug skill. This is Disguise. Gains 1 energy when combo with a plant card. So you can play something like this one, Disguise, as well as Vegeta Bite, which the first hit gains energy because it's comboed with a plant card. At the same time, the second hit from the Vegeta Bite will actually steal energy from your enemy opponent. Or you can play it along with the Carrot Hammer. Or you can play it along with the Pumpkin. So this is the Pumpkin, which is, I believe, October. If I got it right, let's take a look at the Axie details, right? Yeah, it's here, October treat. So you have the October treat, which gains the shield. So you can play like Disguise along with October treat. So you have a decent amount of tanking ability, and when the Disguise hits the enemy, it also gives 1 extra energy. So all this, you can see that there are 3 energy gaining cards and 1 shield card, right, for its tankiness. So how much does this actually cost? Let's try and search around. Okay, so let's search it live. So this is recorded as on 26th of November. So the prices that you see here are correct, valid as of 26 November. So Axie prices will go up and down, fluctuate in price as I've experienced this past 2 weeks. Like sometimes they go higher up in price, sometimes they go lower. So we can never predict. Okay, so let's go for a plant that has Cereus, which is Vegeta Bite. That has I think Pumpkin, which is October Treat. Disguise, which is Leaf Bug, and the last one is Carrot Hammer, right? Carrot Hammer. This one, Carrot. Okay. So a plant with all these 4 skills would cost 0.05 ETH. So not too cheap, about 200 USD. But obviously, if you want a bit cheaper, you can maybe go deal away with, I believe you can, if you take out the disguise, yep, then it becomes a lot cheaper. So you can take out 1 energy gaining skill from it, which is not a pure plant, and the Axies that you have available becomes a lot cheaper, 0.034. So this is also good as well. You can see that there's an 83% purity Axie, almost fully pure. And if you look at its abilities, it has most of what you want except this Winghorn, which is not so good because this is not a backdoor card, right? It's meant to tank. So you can have the Carrot Hammer, you still have the Vegeta Bite, both 2 cards to gain energy, and you still have the Pumpkin as a shield. So this would work if you are on a tighter budget, right? So this is these are the main characteristics of the plant card that you want. Okay, so that is probably part 2A, right? That means explaining what features or what skill sets you need to have on the plant. Obviously, high health will be good. This has 58 health. The most pure plants would have, I believe, if I go for really pure plants like 6 purity, I believe they should have 61 health. So 61 health will be a little bit expensive, but it will be tankier and have better resale value in the market as well, right? So this will cost, this will bump up the cost to 0.039 Ethereum, which is a pure plant, which has 61 health instead of earlier the one that I selected, which only has about 58 health. So there's a higher amount of hit points, even tankier, and all four plant cards. So this is also a little bit of a backdoor plant as well, right? It has a Seed Bullet instead of the Cereus that I have in my plant Axie. But still, the Pumpkin, still Cereus for stealing energy, and a Carrot Hammer for gaining energy when the enemy attacks you and breaks your shield. Okay, so not too expensive, quite affordable, right? And you can disable one of them for a slightly cheaper, more budget tank that still fulfills, ticks off all the key boxes. Okay, the second one in the team it is important to have is the Beast. So the Beast, so in my opinion, this was the one that turned my fortunes around, right? Because I had that Aqua for a long time and still wasn't winning games. I had the plant for a decently long time, I was still losing games. Because if you actually look at my streams, so I uploaded my previous streams from Twitch. So my Twitch is twitch.tv, Fate25. So that's my Twitch channel. So I stream all these games on Twitch. You can hang out there, and I'll be giving away scholarships in the future. That means probably in the next month or 2 when I have enough funds, when I grow my team size enough and more Axies, and then I can start a scholarship. So you can tune in there. And I'll be, so yeah, so my games were previously streamed on Twitch. You can see that I did drop down to like 500 plus, 400 plus MMR. And then the single Axie that turned it around was this single beast that I bought. So once I bought this beast, and added it into my team for that plant beast aqua combo, my win rate skyrocketed to about 86, 87, 85%, close to 90% win rate. Okay, so what is the key characteristics you want on the beast? So the beast, in my opinion, what is important is that the beast is supposed to not only do damage, so it's like the sub DPS, right? Like your backline is the main DPS if you're referring to MOBAs, or if you're referring to like MMORPGs, right? You have your DPS, which is the damage dealer. So that is usually in your backline. It's put in the back because you want to protect your DPS from taking damage, right? It usually has lowest hit points but highest damage output, so you want to keep it alive as long as possible. Then your beast, in my opinion, is the mid laner. The mid laner actually needs to provide DPS as well. It's like a sub DPS in case your backline gets sniped. Because in Axie Infinity, there's a lot of sniping skills that will target the furthest enemy, so they can just go into your backline and kill off your back laner. And you want your mid laner to still be able to provide DPS to like kill off the enemy and also close out the match in case your back laner or your back DPS gets sniped. So the beast needs to provide DPS, and the DPS comes from critical strikes, right? So I believe that this single combat skill really important because you meant to so it gives critical strike when comboed with at least 2 other cards, right? So if you use a calculator here, what critical strike gives is it gives double damage. So when it has 80 and you multiply by 2, it has 160. So that means this card, if you hit the right conditions when you combo it with 2 other cards, this card alone will deal 160 damage. So imagine if you have 2 of these cards together. So 2 of these cards in that's already 320 damage because it has 2 critical strikes, and you combo a third card, maybe like a nut throw, which you add 105. So that's 425 damage with just 3 cards, right? So that's an insane amount of damage output. That's, I think, the almost as much damage output as the birds, or maybe even more, due to the ability of critical strikes. So the critical strikes will provide a lot of damage, and also you want your beast to be able to gain energy as well. Because if your tank, that means your front laner or your tank gets sniped, and if that is the only card that gives you, only Axie that gives you energy, then you don't have enough energy to supplement this beast Axie as well as your aqua or your bird Axie on the back line for them to use their cards. So the energy gaining mechanic comes from Ivory Step. Ivory Step is very important here as well. So you can see the description that it gains 1 energy per critical strike dealt by a team. So in the above example, if let's say I have only 1 single combat, right? 1 single combat, and I combo with maybe an Ivory Step or a Nut Throw. So 1 single combat, that means it's still 3 cards, it still triggers the critical strike. We have 160 damage plus 80 plus 105. Okay, so that's 345 damage. Still, 3 cards for 345 damage is quite decent as well. And also it gives you 1 extra energy while dealing that 345 damage. So another reason you want a beast in your mid line is that the beasts have an inherent benefit of being stronger against plant Axies. So since almost every team is running like a plant Axie as a tank, the difficulty of the bird and the aqua is that it's difficult for the bird and aqua to kill off the plant. So you want something that's good against the plant to try and do the damage to kill it off, or at least do most of the damage, so that your bird and your aqua can just provide a little bit, 1 or 2 more cards, and then you can snipe off the tank. So the beast has a 15% damage bonus to plants. So that means in our earlier example, this is 345, right? So 345, usually to calculate the correct damage, you will also need to multiply by 10%, because if a card is played, if the card that has been played is of the same type as your Axie, so in this case, all these are beast cards, right? Then it's played by a beast, you have extra 10% bonus to that damage. So 345, if you multiply by 1.1, the actual damage is actually 379. You will round down the damage. 379, and if it's versus a plant, you multiply by another 15%. So you multiply by 1.15 for 15% damage bonus. So it becomes 436. So the earlier combo that I illustrated of single combat for the critical strike, Ivory Step for the energy gain, and Nut Throw for the extra damage, just these 3 cards alone would do 436 damage to a plant Axie, as well as gives 1 energy. So it's incredibly efficient, very efficient, and does a lot of damage. So if you like, in this case, because my beast is a little bit on the cheaper end, it's not a pure beast, so I don't have that 4th beast damage card. If I had the 4th beast damage card, such as a 4th Nut Throw, it would do even more damage. Like it would go into the 500 damage range against the plants. So it will definitely have that burst potential of killing off that plant with 1 single combo. Okay, so that being said, how much does this exact one cost? So anyway, just to explain why I have this Vegeta Bite, it is because, like I mentioned, I couldn't afford to buy a pure beast with double nut throw and ivory step and single combat. So I had to go without that second nut throw, and I have to look for something cheaper. So among the market, I found that it has Vegeta Bite as well. So this beast has Vegeta Bite, which also helps to steal energy when combo with another card. So I could like combo me. So out of that 3-card combo, I would maybe put like single combat, ivory step, and Vegeta Bite. So there's 3 cards. So you will still trigger the critical strike. You will still trigger the ivory step because there's a critical strike. I plus 1 energy, and if the opponent has any energy remaining in they're holding back any energy, I will be able to steal it from them. Also, if you happen to be so lucky to draw double Vegeta Bites, then you can just play 2 Vegeta Bites in a row to try and steal 2 energy from the enemy, like in the first round or maybe in the middle of the rounds where they are trying to save that 2 energy, right? So if you manage to predict that, then you can, and you're lucky enough to have 2 Vegeta Bites, you can play double Vegeta Bite, try and snipe that energy from your enemy. Okay, so how much does this Axie cost? Let's go and look at the market. So in this case, let's go to the stats. Nope. Okay, I don't need pure one. And we need a beast with parts such as single combat, right? Which is Ronin. So the part is Ronin. With ivory step, right? Ivory step, the horns are imp. And nut. So in that case, mine was nutcracker. So my nut was on the tail. So nutcracker on the tail. Nut throw. Okay. So the part is called nutcracker, and the moveset is called nut throw. So you can see that with this tree, you can get one as for as low as cost as 121 USD. Let's see if this is actually so 0.03 ETH. Okay, so this has been sold, right? No longer available. But you can look at the others. So let's say maybe one in the middle, 0.035. That's about 140 USD. Also quite affordable, right? It's in the auction as well. And this is the exact one that I got, right? From, you can see that it's the exact same one that I got in my lineup as well. So has a single combat, ivory step, nut throw, and Vegeta Bite for the energy steal as well. And this only costs 140 USD. Is cheaper than the plant, right? 0.035. So you can definitely get a good beast, a good damage dealing, energy gaining beast at a pretty low price. So that is that tree. And in the case if you want more damage output, right, and you don't want the series, so let's see how much it costs. Nutcracker on the mouth. Okay, so this would be skyrocket the price up to a lot more, right? So in this case, this would be a higher damage dealing beast with 1 less energy gaining card. That means instead of that series that I have on the mouth, you get another nutcrack, because when you combo 2 nutcrack cards, it deals 120% damage. So this 105 that you see here, if we bring out our calculator, 105 multiplied by 1.2 for 120% becomes 126. So if you play these 2 cards together as a combo, it is 126 and 126 is 252. Because it's played by a beast, it has a 1.10% damage bonus, so it becomes 277. So you do 277 damage just from playing these 2 cards, right? Nutcrack as well as Nut Throw together. So that's a lot of damage, and you combo with a single combat, that is another 160 damage due to critical strike from the single combat. And you can obviously replace one of those cards with an ivory step, because you always want to pair single combat with an ivory step to gain energy while dealing damage. So this is a very good damage card, damage beast, but it is also pretty expensive, because this would skyrocket the price up to 0.06 ETH. It's almost double of the one without that second nut throw, right? The second nut skill. It was a nutcrack. So without the nutcrack, you can see that if we remove the nutcrack, the price is almost down to half, right? 0.034. You can get one decently for 0.034. So this one, let's see if it loads. Okay, maybe we can load another one. Yep, so this one loads. So this one has something like heal front teammate for 190 hit points, which is not bad as well, right? So this looks like a good energy gaining, damage dealing, but support as well. It has this skill. You can play Silence Whisper to heal your front tank because it's a mid laner. So you can heal your plant for 190 hit points and get a burst heal. Only costing 137 USD, 0.034 ETH. Pretty good options. So you can get beasts at this good beast at a pretty good price. Okay, and the last one that I have is this one. So this is my back lane Aqua, but it's not the ideal Aqua for DPS. So in my case, what I recommend is not to follow my double Anemone build, right? Because these two abilities are called Anemone, which heals 50 hit points for each Anemone part that the Axie has. So in this case, because I have two Anemone parts, with each hit from, like, say, one Aqua Vitality, I heal my Axie for 100 hit points. So I will play two of these cards, I heal my Axie for 200 hit points. So quite a decent amount of healing. And for a mid-range amount of damage, about only 80 damage. So they have been nerfed a little bit. I believe their damage was a little bit higher in Season 18, so they have been nerfed a little bit, if I remember correctly. So I have an Angry Lamb to deal 120% damage if it's low, and I have a Flanking Smack that deals 120% damage if it attacks first. So typically, most Aquas would attack first because they usually have a high speed 57. The only exception are birds, because pure birds can have up to 61 speed. So the pure birds normally in general, especially pure birds, will attack earlier than the Aquas. So flanking smack will not be that good if you're versus an opponent which has a bird. And it's also not good if your opponent also has Aquas that are also 57 speed, because in a mirror matchup, let's say both Aquas have the same speed, 57, the one with a lower health would actually go first. So if I damage my opponent and I'm at full health due to the healing from my Anemones, right? My opponent actually goes earlier than me. So my opponent has a chance to use all 4 cards for a 4-card combo to kill me off first before I have a chance to heal up. So, and this flanking smack also doesn't have the extra bonus damage because my Aqua actually doesn't go first. So this is okay, but it's not ideal. But I will still be keeping this Axie because I actually want to breed this Axies for to sell later in the market. But let's see, and let's try and look for an Aqua with similar skills and see how much it costs in the market. So let's remove this and let's look at an Aqua. Okay, so maybe we need the lamp, right? What I suggest, okay, let me try and check this website for the skills list of Aquas. Okay, so I do recommend this site, gamewith.net Axie Infinity, and you can just Google for Axie Infinity all cards. So it has this all card list here, and you can select filter cards by Aqua and search. So these are all the Aqua cards, right? So Lam does deals damage if it's below 50% hit points. And let's look at what other skill set is good. So Cheating Jump is good for backdoor, but let's say we don't go for backdoor. We have something that is... This is good, Hero's Bane. So let's look for maybe Hero's Bane, right? So Hero's Bane would be Oranda. So basically it's a move that ends the target's last stand. So if your target is in a last stand situation, your Hero's Bane will actually end the last stand. So it cannot go into a last stand. And it does 120 damage, pretty good. Draw a card if target is in last stand. That's not that good. Yeah, let's look for damage. Okay, this Swift Escape is really good because when your Aqua is actually attacked, it gives a 20% speed buff to your Aqua. So Swift Escape is a pretty good card. So let's try Swift Escape, which is Goldfish. And you have 0.031. So with these cards, you already have an Axie that's pretty good, right? 0.031. So you can see, yep, it's available to be played. And this is a pretty good aqua. So 0.031, it has Swift Escape, it has Angry Lamb, which deals extra damage if it's below 50% health. Its base damage is good as well, 110. And Hero's Bane, which can end the target last turn, 120 damage, pretty good. So this one has this Yam skill, which is not that great. So typically the better one would be if you were to add the Nemo in it. So Nemo would be the move called Tail Slap. So Nemo is a part whereby it gives you energy gain. So if we take a look at this Axie, yep. So Nemo Tail Slap, when you combo with another card, it will actually lets you gain energy. So the ultimate combo for energy gaining is 2 Tail Slaps because they are both 0 cost. So you can play 2 Tail Slaps at 0 cost and gives 2 energy to your team. But obviously, once you add a Nemo into your Aqua, it raises up the cost a lot. So earlier we were at, this is only 125 USD, 0.031 Ethereum. Once you add a Nemo in, it will bump up the cost to at least about 60% more, right? You have to pay 206 USD, 0.051 ETH. So if you're on a tighter budget, you can go without the Nemo. But if you have a more generous budget, you have more Ethereum on your hand, you can go for the one with the Nemo because the Tail Slap gives you the extra energy and yep, it doesn't really help the damage, but mainly the extra energy helps because the more energy you have, the more ability, the better you can play most of. You can play more cards as compared to your opponent. And if we don't have the Nemo, let's look at maybe a 4th damage card that I find is good that gives a speed buff, which is this one, Upstream Swim. I always struggle to pronounce that. Upstream Swim. Upstream. Which is Koi. So the part is called Koi, right? So wait, we actually don't have cards which are exactly these 4 abilities. Okay, so maybe I can take away Lam. Okay, so if you take away Lam, there are Axies available. So let's take a look at 0.03, 121. This is a pretty good Aqua. So pretty good damage Aqua, right? So Swift Escape is really good. Like I mentioned, when the enemy attacks your Aqua and your Aqua survives, while you're using this moveset, it gives you a 20% speed boost. So the next round, your Aqua will move faster. So you have a chance to use like a 3 or 4 card combo to kill off the enemy Axie first before you get hit. And this is also pretty good. This gives another speed plus of 20% for 2 rounds. So both will have a speed buff for 2 rounds when you combo with another Aqua class card. So you can combo it with a Swift Escape or Hero's Bane, and it gives another 20% speed boost. And obviously Hero's Bane is good. So this Confident is not really that good. Morale is basically to add, it's a 0 cost, it's not too bad, but it's to add the chance for critical strike and also the chance to enter last stand. So if we look at some others, so this is 0.031, 0.031 here, right? So this one, it has Herbivore, which is not too bad. So it has 2 speed buffing skills, has a Hero's Bane, and it also has this Herbivore card, right? To heal the Axie if you're hitting on a plant target. So if it doesn't, it only does 75 damage, but gives a little bit more shield. So it's more of a defensive card. So only costs 125 USD, 0.031 Ethereum. And this one has a bit of energy steal in it, right? So 2 speed buff skills, 1 Hero's Bane, as well as a Sirius to actually steal energy from your opponent. So there's an energy gaining card as well if you combo with another card. So also pretty cheap, 0.032 Ethereum. So you can get pretty good back lane Aqua here. So that is, yep, pretty good. So I would advise you to stay away from the double anemone ones because the double anemone ones, they're not so easy to play. You need to, like the ones that I have here, the double anemone, I actually need to predict because I don't deal as much damage, right, as the ones that I've highlighted here. Because you can see that this Aqua, no, even this one with Sirius, right? So this Aqua is technically a lot better as a backlane DPS because it has all its cards are higher damage, deal more damage than mine, most of its cards, because it does 120 more than this. Upstream Stream also gives speed plus, which I do not have, so I'm losing. So in arena, I lose a lot to this enemies which has speed plus, and it also has an energy gain, right, in terms of series. So the only good ability I have here is the double anemone, which has sustain but doesn't have a lot of damage. So I advise going for an easier aqua that does damage instead of sustain. So the alternative would be a bird. So if you are going to have a bird that does a lot of damage, what are the abilities that you want on your bird? Okay, let's do a search, right? So let's see if we can get a bird that is a good damage dealer. Okay, let's change our filter to bird and search. Okay, so certain good bird cards, one of the best bird combos that I think is good, I've seen it on YouTube's where a lot of higher MMR players use as well, is to have the skill Blackmail in combo with Egg Bomb. So let me do a search on Blackmail, which should be called Pigeon Pose, as well as Egg Bomb, which is the part is called Eggshell if I'm not wrong. Okay, so let's take a look. 0.03 Ethereum, 120 USD. Is this available? Yeah, Bunny and Shoe, right? Okay, let's take a look. Okay. This is okay, so this bird is not ideal, but it still does a decent damage for a very low cost of 0.03 Ethereum. So first one, I want to explain how the eggshell as well as blackmail combo works. So when you have an the egg bomb and blackmail combo. So when you have an egg bomb, you apply aroma on your bird Axie, which is actually a debuff. Because when you have an aroma on your bird Axie, all the enemy attacks, right, would automatically target the one with the aroma. So when you have aroma, you are trying to say, okay, I'm more delicious, try and eat me instead, right? Then all the enemy attacks from after the bird will actually target the bird. And because the bird is typically the fastest Axie, this is not really the fastest. So you can find Axies with like 59 speed, like this is a lot faster. Or the pure birds will be at 61 speed, so even faster than aquas, right? So for example, yeah, this bird does a decent amount of damage. So it does, so aroma, and because your bird goes first, once you apply, your bird will attack first. Once you apply aroma, the enemies will start to attack your bird. After your bird finishes its attack, is cut chain. So why you want to have blackmail? Because you want to end the combo on a blackmail where you transfer all your debuffs, which is the aroma, to your enemy target. So that means you get aroma on your bird, but you transfer the aroma to the enemy. So after transferring the aroma to your enemy, the enemy will no longer be able to target your bird after your bird has used up all its cards, and you get the benefit of having aroma on your enemy. So what happens is that your next DPS, which is the beast, will also target the enemy that has aroma inflicted on it. So the egg bomb as well as blackmail is a very good combo, and it does a lot of damage. 120 base damage, also 120 base damage. So if you take out the calculator, and there's 120 multiplied by 2, right? There's already 240 that is played by, these are bird cards which are played by a bird, so you get the 10% bonus class damage, 264. So if you are playing against a beast, obviously you have a 15% extra because birds will have benefit against a beast. If you're playing against another bird or another aqua, you don't get that bonus damage. So take note also I need to explain that this 264 is not the only damage. In reality, there's a little bit more damage added in because Axie Infinity for this season, they redid the combo calculation. So when you do a combo, when you apply two cards in when you play two cards in a combo and they do damage, right? They have a little bit of a more complex calculation whereby they add a little bit more bonus damage. But in my experience, it adds about 4 to 6 damage, maybe sometimes a little bit more, because it depends on the skill rating of that particular Axie. But usually for birds and aquas, they have a similar skill rating of 35. So it adds about 4 to 6 damage per card. So in this case, about 264, if we add, let's assume they add 6 damage per card for 2 cards, right? So we add 12 damage. So the actual damage will be closer to about 276 for just the Blackmail and the Egg Bomb. And obviously, All Out Shot is also a very good damage card because it inflicts 110 damage and is 0 cost, doesn't cost energy. But you have the disadvantage of that means damaging your own bird for 30% of your bird's hit points. So that is the disadvantage of the All Out Shot. So to even make the bird better, so even with this 3 cards, right, this is a really good bird for your back line. And it only costs 0.03 Ethereum, so it's pretty cheap. This not that great. Because Terror Chomp does a little bit, but Fear is very difficult to trigger because in order to trigger Fear, when it says here to apply Fear to target when they will miss 2 attacks, right? You have to play cards in a chain. So chain is different from combo because chain means that you need to have another Axie in your team to play a bug card. So you need to have another Axie in your team to have a bug card, to have played that bug card in this round in order for this Terror Chomp to apply Fear. So if not, the Terror Chomp only does 100 damage. So that's why Terror Chomp on its own is not a really good card. It has to be comboed with other bug cards or other other bug Axies or other Axies that has bug cards in order for Terror Chomp to be effective. Alright, so in order to make this bird even better, you need to have a little bit of a backdoor ability. So I would recommend something like let's see, there's a card that does backdoor. Where is it? Air Force One. No, it's not Air Force One. There's a bird card that will target the fastest Axie. This one, Duck Soup. Okay, so let's take a look at. So this one was 3.03. Okay, let's close this. And let's add Duck Soup, right? Which part is called Little Owl. Okay, it's also quite cheap as well. So still 0.03 Ethereum. So let's take a look. These two, so all this are 0.03 Ethereum is Duck Soup. So what Duck Soup does is that it targets the fastest enemy. Which is really good. So fastest enemy usually is the one that is in the back line. There's the enemy DPS, which is the enemy bird or the enemy aqua. So by comboing your cards with Little Owl, you can target the back line instantly, and you can do a surprise attack. So you can do maybe like a 4-card combo, right? Duck Soup combo with maybe 3 of this combination of cards. So you can do like a Duck Soup. Okay, so with this one, you can even get your second DPS, which is your beast, in to kill off the enemy backline. So what happens is that you can target the fastest enemy, and you apply Egg Bomb to it, right? Aroma to yourself, and then use Blackmail to transfer the aroma to the enemy bird. And then after your moveset expires, right? So assuming that your beast has some damage queue up, so your beast would now target the enemy bird as well because it has aroma on it. So that means you can get more than 3 cards of damage worth on the enemy bird to try and kill it off with this kind of combo. So Little Owl combo with Egg Bomb as well as Blackmail is a really, really good combo. Extremely good. And we can take a look. So this Cottontail, not bad, 0 cost card. But if you were to make this even better, right? You can add the All Out Shot to it. Let's see if we add the All Out Shot, which is post fight. Okay, so if you add an All Out Shot, it would skyrocket the price up a lot. So obviously this bird would be better. Actually not so good. 56 speed. Let's look for something that is higher speed, right? A purer bird that has at least 59 speed. Let's look at something. It's 58, 59. Yeah. So a purer bird with at least about 59 speed. So that's faster than all the aquas out there. 59 speed. And it has a backdoor ability of Dark Soup as well as the Egg Bomb as well as Blackmail. So this critical combo for backdooring. and it has a post-fight to add additional damage. So you can imagine if you have 3 energy, you can do how much damage. Let's do a calculator here. So assuming that the enemy backline is a bird, right? We have 25 plus all-out shot of 110 plus the egg bomb of 120 plus the final ending skill of blackmail of 120 again. So that's 375 because it's played by the bird class. So add 10% of damage to it. So that's 412.5. And you don't get the 15% bonus damage if it's versus the aqua or the bird because they are of the same type. But you need to add a little bit of a combo damage. So it's about 6 damage per card for the combo. So 6, 12, 18, 24. So let's add about 24 damage. So in reality, you're doing about 436 damage in a single 4-card combo for just 3 energy. 436 damage, that's a lot. Most birds will only have about this is 26 health, about 300-ish health. So most birds will die with such a 4-card combo, even if they don't have a lot of shield, right? If it's an aqua, usually the aqua will have about 400 plus health. So the aqua might barely survive this. But the thing is, you have transferred aroma to the enemy aqua. So if your beast has certain cards of damage queued up, your beast or plant has certain damage queued up, then your beast or plant would also target the enemy backline aqua to contribute the damage and to kill it off. So this would be one of my ideal birds to have, but to include the all-out shot with the 3 cards is a lot more expensive, right? Skyrocket the price to 0.064 ETH, 260 USD. So if you're on a tighter budget, what I would just recommend is removing the post-fight from this. Removing the post-fight from this, and you can still get something that's around 59 speed to 61 speed that only costs about 0.031 Ethereum or 0.032 Ethereum. 33, you can see that the market has plenty of these good birds. So all in all, I believe the tank is a little bit the one that is more expensive. So if I were to summarize, let's say what's the total cost, right, to get this very good plant beast bird team that has energy generation, tankiness on the plant, that will have damage output as well as energy generation on your beast, and to have backdoor ability and a lot of damage output on the bird. So earlier okay, let's try and do multiple copies of the marketplace so that, let's see if this works. Okay, this works, right? So a beast that has, okay, so the beast we will need the single combat, which is the Ronin. Sorry, what's the ability? Let me check. Single combat, Ivory Step. Single combat, Ivory Step. And the Nut Crow, right? Nut Crack or Nut Crow? Let's put a Nut Crack. No. Oh, no, wrong. Nut Crack is this one. 0.0. Oh, wrong. Okay, I think I searched the wrong part. Ivory Stab. Imp, yeah. So I searched a rare part. Yeah, 0.033. And the plant, we want a plant that has a pumpkin, at least. As the Carrot Hammer. And we have the Carrot Hammer, and we have the Vegeta Bite, right? So Vegeta Bite, which is serious. Okay, that's 0.033. And if I add the disguise, EISGOISE, which is Leaf Bug. Okay, that makes it a lot more expensive, right? So if we remove the Leaf Bug, yeah, you can get one which is pretty decent as well. Okay, so we can see the general price of this ideal 3 axis stat. Not say ideal, but you will make a very good starter team for, not say, kind of like a starter team, very good team for you to climb up from the sub 800 MMR bracket, right? Because you need to get above 800 MMR to earn any SLP. Okay, so the plan on average would be 0.03 ETH. Let's calculate in terms of Ethereum, right? So let's say you buy something that is about 0.034. Okay, let's look for something that has better stats on the plan. Maybe high health, right? 50, at least 59 to 61 health. Uh, 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 I don't think it's working. Wait, is it working? 61. Okay. Okay, it's 60. Nope. 59. Oh, 0.038. Okay, it's not too bad. So one that has 61 health would cost a little bit more. So if you're okay with getting a slightly lesser health plan, you'll be a little bit cheaper. But 0.03, let's make it 39 ETH, right? For the plan. We add, so the beast, we can get one for 0.033, 0.033 beast. And if we add the bird with damage output as well as ability to backdoor. So backdoor and damage output can transfer debuffs. That will cost about 0.032 Ethereum, right? 0.032 ETH. So all in all, it's about 0.104 ETH for a very good team that will definitely be able to carry you above the 800 MMR bracket and maybe even further. And with this team, what's the cost in USD if we were to check Ethereum's price? So as of today, 26th of November in Singapore time, 9:30 p.m. in Singapore time, Ethereum is worth about 4,049 USD. So 0.14 multiplied by 4,047, right? Which costs about 420 USD. So 420 USD, which is close to the floor price of a lot of the most cheapest Axies around, right? And 420 USD, you will get a very good team that will definitely be able to help you to climb out above 800 MMR and then get back into earning SLP. And if you are a scholar that's watching this, because I know that a lot of Axie players are actually scholars, actually they don't own their own Axies, then you might be able to maybe send a request to your manager to try and get a manager to invest, like maybe swap out the Axies that you currently have, because you can explain to them that you need a buff for your current Axies, so they can sell the Axies that you currently have and use the funds to buy the Axies that I suggested to you. So you can highlight the moveset that you want, or even show them the Axies that you want from the marketplace. And if there are ones that, because there's a lot of them on the market, so you're not afraid of them running out, then they can sell the Axies that the 3 Axies that you're currently holding, or maybe transfer to another player, and then buy these 3 Axies and transfer to your account so that you can get out of AR MMR. You can start earning SLP for both yourself and your manager. Okay. Anything else? So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. My 10-day journey through 1,002 MMR to about 400-ish MMR and now back to above 800 MMR has been very rough. It was 3 days. So 1,002, I actually dropped. I spent a few days of playing and I keep dropping. But the point where I started to go below 800 MMR was only shot just 3 days ago. So I don't know if I'm able to show my record here. Yep. So you can see that I actually track the amount of SLP I gained per day. And it was only on the 23rd of November that I lost so much that I fell below 800 MMR. And I keep falling below 800 MMR and I stayed there, which gave me zero ability to earn any SLP. And finally, on today, 26th of November, Singapore time, I managed to break out of the 800 MMR hell, so to say. Okay, hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will answer them if I can, and see you next time.